Security Days event. I hope you all visited us yesterday for our sessions and enjoyed them. So today we have another great agenda packed with 3 more sessions. We're going to start off our day with a Microsoft Defender for Cloud session, followed by an Azure Network Security session, and then we will end our day with Azure Purview. If you're only joining us now, there are a few things to keep in mind. First of all, these sessions are being recorded, and all the recordings and slides will be provided at the end of the event today, and they will be provided via email. If you have any questions, please feel free to use the chat window option or raise your hand, and we will make sure to unmute your microphone so you can ask your question. Also, if you would like to engage with us further, or if you would like to deep dive further into the products, we have a few options available. You can either join our private or our public communities. In our private community, you will be able to be part of roadmap calls, private previews, design workshops, and so on. And in our public community, you'll be able to watch additional product webinars. You will be able to visit our YouTube channel, our blog post, and much, much more. And if you just have any questions you want to address to us, anything that you would like to ask us or know, please feel free to send us an email at secdays@microsoft.com, and we will make sure to connect you to the relevant person. So with that, Shai and all, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Gilly, and good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you are. Very happy to be here, and also had the honor to have Or with me. Good morning, Or. And
good morning,
hi. So let's just begin. So let me introduce myself. I'm a program manager within Microsoft on the Microsoft Defender for Cloud with the customer experience engineering team. And I'm very happy to excited to be here and have you all in that call. And also with me, she will join and deliver a couple of these agendas today. So let's start first of all with a little bit of polling you, and you can explain a little bit on the process. We have also had a link here, how you can install it, also QR it, and feel free to edit, and because we have a couple of nice questions to begin with. Awesome. So the first one will be where you are joining from. Please let us all know. The first questions to be, just let me maybe bring back the slides if you don't remember the link, the URL. So it's polyv.com/MSD multi-cloud. And let's wait a little bit and tell us.
You can also find the link in the chat window as well.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Gilly, for that. Great. So let me see if we have some answers for that currently.
I think, Shai, we might need to represent the slide because it seems like the content isn't live.
So I will try to represent it again. I'm not sure right now that it's giving me the options, but just let me try to switch it back and then I will, sorry. I will share it again, just a minute. And switch back the presentation to see if we have it. And if not, we can of course continue and adding this after, so no rush on that. Just want to make sure that it's happened again and we have this. You want to take owner, or you can see where it's now. Just let me represent it again.
It would seem that the poll might be blocked.
Okay. So yeah, we leave that for later. Let me just prove that you can see my screen again, and then we can.
I think I presented it.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Little bit, sorry. And then if you want to represent it, or it's okay by me, so go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's live over here. So just one sec. I see many people from Europe, and you'll see them soon too, I hope.
In the chat window, they're saying that it is working now.
So. Oh, okay. Awesome. So let's just get back and share it again. Or you are going to present it, or you want me to do it?
Or it's a black screen now.
And I will try to share it again. Okay, either way, I can see the result yet, but maybe we can take it later. Also want to ask you for your primary role. We have some technical issue with the polls, but anyway, let's go over the agenda and to see what's, so you can see the screen right now?
Yes, and you can also see the locations now on the poll.
Oh, let me just revert back.
So we're seeing our screen now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We did
awesome.
it.
Yeah, we see the results. Awesome.
Thank you for your patience.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, so thank you for just answering. Thank you so much. We have a little difficulties here, but we are okay. So we are happy to see the primary role. Oh, we have a variety of them. And we also ask you if you are already using the Microsoft Defender for Cloud solution. Amazing. So we see a couple of you already using the Microsoft Defender for Cloud solution, so it's good. Awesome. So let's go for the agenda, and thank you so much. And sorry for this technical issue. And the agenda today will be to start with the short overview of the security landscape in the product. And we will explain you a little bit how we manage security in Microsoft, and then we move to the next section, which will be covering the cloud security posture management, which will drive by Or. She will explain us how it's performing from the sides of perspective in the Microsoft Defender for Cloud. And then we will talk a little bit about the cloud workload protections and how it's actually helping us to remediate and threats against all the vulnerabilities, and etc. And then we leave some space for questions and answers in the last. So with that said, let's go for the facts section. And again, feel free to raise any questions that you have in the chat window. We have a couple of teammates within the PGs that they can help you and answer you if you need any more assistance. So before we start to talk about the products itself, let's start talking about and understand about cloud security challenges that customers are facing all today. So actually, there are three major ones. First of all, will be the time to response, which means that without having actually a secured controls in place, customers a lot of time are struggling to identify the breach. So we didn't say that if you have an example and compromise actually already done, so the extraction and now it's just a matter of trying to remediate the damage after it will be so difficult. So it's really important to us to reduce the time also to discover the incident. And all you need for that probably is to have a good threat detection in place across all your workloads, that you can immediately receive the alert when something will happen. In the end of the day, they are also utilizing and also leveraging the lack of security hygienes across workload. So you can see the numbers here. They are really pretty high and amazing, but 52% of organizations that were cited on the study said actually that the secure recommendation of their cloud resources, they are top priority, which means that the reason behind is that the threat actors understand that the security hygienes for the most parts and the security compliance stand is really hard to tackle those two problems. So you actually really need to understand the resource that you have in your organizations. And in the other end, you can see that the current stance of those resources, that you have a clear understand and fully deep look of the vulnerability assessment of your environment. Because if you need to remediate your environment, and also improve your overall security postures, you must invest on that. And you can see the number also against here in 2021. The average cost of a breach, it was around 4.25 million. And not only these numbers based on the research, but also bring some news that is coming also from the industry, that showing that, as always, poor secure hygienes, it's still the #1 root cause that allow threat actors to compromise systems in the first place. So actually, when customers migrate to the cloud, or where they are not aware, sometimes they are not investing in the right time to protect those resources. And many times they do not even know what of threat actors is leveraging in the social engineering, and to send phishing campaigns using the same COVID or coronavirus, the pandemic one, to entire users to click on something, and even they don't be aware of that. And the initial step then to get access to an environment and to compromise system, then continue the mission, which can, of course, lead to threat actors. But again, it's a possibility. It's not always, can happen, and the environment will always can be improved. And by improving, first of all, when you're improving your security hygienes, Microsoft Defender for Cloud will be exactly what you need in this situation. So this is the highlight here, because you are going to monitor a variety of resources that are located in Azure. You are going on board them. And then when you onboard them, you have a variety of security posture that you can have and improve your security hygienes against the threat landscape that we have mentioned. And of course, regarding that, and with that says, the detection themselves are really reactive manners to quickly respond to an incident. So if something will happen from the active and reactive sides, and talking about security, it always will be proactive and reactive, and always remediating the recommendations and detection. It's the way you want to be. And even doesn't matter, we see later if it's an Azure resource or other cloud resource, it doesn't matter, but you want to have the visibility from the world perspective. So we can go to the next slide, or? Yeah. So talking about, and please click again, or we want to see the, yeah, thank you so much, the kill chain. So again, before we want to start talking, as we already mentioned, that talking about the security and again, the cloud kill chain model, our first assuming will be how attacking is actually occurring. So when we are talking about cloud infrastructures, and adversaries often attack multiple resources, the attacker will try to option access. The first stage will be the exposure. He will try to get and look the opportunities to get to gain success to our infrastructure. So for example, the attackers can have, if the customer have an example, and customer-facing applications that expose to the internet, or machines that are exposed to the internet, as example, because someone left that open or left that port. So we will attack and try to run vulnerabilities to exploit and weak credentials, an example. And this expose can be found, of course, in variety of vulnerabilities and malware-based attacks that compromise the credentials. And the next stage will be, as you see, the access. The access will be the stage that the attacker will try to exploit the resource and get access inside our environment, and then it will compromise. The compromise will be with the user credentials and the installs he can take without the security control. Maybe, attacking brute forcing or try to facing an SSH, an example. And without security control in place, 68% of breaches takes months or longer to discover. So it means without security controls at all, we are exposed. And the next stage will be lateral movement. In the lateral movement stage, the attacker will discover what resources they have access. And then with that scope, when, of course, the successful attack of instance give the attackers and access to databases and sensitive information. And also, the attacker then search for additional credentials again to try to achieve something that is better, than regular user, like global admin as example, or role and role-based that is much higher privilege that he can achieve. And it will take only 24 to 48 hours after the breach, and the attacker will usually have the complete control over the network. And the actions, of course, after we have done this, will be lateral movement and largely depend on the resources and gain access. And the attacker can take any actions for data exploitation, data loss, of course, launch other attacks. And for enterprise, it could be average financial impact and losing a lot of money. And with that said, we can go to the next one, please. Thank you. And with that said, you can see, and we talked about which solution we want to use. So it will be Microsoft Defender for Cloud. It means that whenever we want to secure and onboard any resource, it doesn't matter if it's on Azure or not, we can leverage and bring it into the solution and onboard it. And then we can also have the integration. You see the little icons here regarding other clouds like AWS and GCP. And get a bird's eye view of your security posture and vulnerabilities across clouds, again, with the secure score, or we'll talk a little bit about it. And also have the implemented of best practices and compliance that you need to have in the security in the cloud, and protect also resources that you have in AWS. And just for last but not least, detect and blocking also malware and advanced threats also for other OS that are not native, just Microsoft Windows, also Linux, or they are, no matter if they are on cloud or in the on-prem. And now I will give Or to present a section. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. So as Jai mentioned, in Security Center, we have two sides for offering this advanced protection for the cloud. We have the side for strengthening your posture and hardening your resources and tracking your compliance, which is the side of the CSPM. And we have the side for the workload protection with advanced threat detections, which Shai will expand on soon. So let's dive a bit deeper about security posture management. So we're curious to know whether you're already using a cloud security posture management solution within your organization today. And if you're comfortable sharing which one it is. Okay, interesting. So a lot of Defender for Cloud people here today, yeah, which is great. And also not using, so we can talk about that. So let's move on, if the slide will allow me. Great. So a bit about what you can find using Defender for Cloud in the side of posture management. So when we log on to the portal, and soon we will see it in a demo as well, we can see all of the insights regarding our compliance state in a quick view. So we can see our secure score, which helps us track our compliance state, and we'll expand on it in a slide. We can see how are we doing regarding regulatory compliance benchmarks that we deploy and track across our environment. We can see all the alerts we've seen happening on our environment, some analytics, advanced analytics on the insights panel here. like the most attacked resources, etc. And this is meant to give you, a quick view on how you're doing today in terms of your workloads. So one metric that we created in order to help organizations know how they're doing today regarding their posture and make plans in order to invest those very expensive and hard-working hours for the security teams, make sure that they invest them in hardening and addressing the most important recommendations that we've identified on the environment. We created the Secure Score. This is a score that basically aggregates a set of 250 recommendations that continuously track the compliance state of your resources. The recommendations are grouped into controls. Each control is meant to help you track a different type of risk and make sure that you are addressing this risk over time and seeing how you progress with your organization to make sure you are remediating the most important resources for you, and tracking this over time as well. And soon we'll see how we can track it over time and how it looks in the system. So on top of those security recommendations that are there by default, and we call them the Azure Security Benchmark, we also have additional benchmarks that are mapped to regulatory compliance controls. So for example, CIS, PCI, ISO, SOC, and others. You can easily deploy those sets of many policies on your organization with only a few clicks, and continuously assess your environment, help you with any compliance, monitoring, auditing, etc. And this is also available in the portal. With the inventory view, you'll be able to see an asset inventory of all your cross-cloud resources. So any cloud you onboard to Security Center, to Defender for Cloud, the new name, sorry, you'll be able to track what are those resources that I have in my environment every day. The R&D teams build new resources, delete resources. So this is the place to track everything that you have, see those security recommendations. You can filter by the severity of the recommendation. You can filter by those resources with most recommendations, and you can also deep dive into the raw data and continue exploring from there in Azure Resource Graph. You can also export the data into a CSV and monitor on that way as well. And if you want to take the next step, you want to automate your security lifecycle, you want to create easy remediations, you want to automate remediation, you can do all of that with a built-in solution called Workflow Automation. Workflow Automation uses Security Center data as trigger types. You can define whatever rule set that you want. For example, alerts with high severity, I want them to open a ticket in ServiceNow. And recommendation with a specific recommendation, I want it to trigger remediation every time this recommendation is unhealthy. And what we do is we create the trigger is actually triggering a logic app. So you can, we have a very rich repository of built-in logic apps that you can easily deploy, but you can, of course, customize, create your own logic apps and trigger using Security Center data, sending this data wherever you want, sending emails to resource owners, and we can share in the chat our GitHub with all of the built-in resources here. And if we're talking about continuous monitoring of all of these data points we were just discussing, we have a relatively new offering, which is the workbooks capability, which is built into the portal. In workbooks, we have rich analytics and visualizations with data from across Azure and other clouds. And it allows us to track not only your current state, but also leveraging our continuous export capability. You can export your data into a log analytics workspace, retain the data there for however long you want. Then this integrates into that data repository and will show you how you're doing over time. So for example, if you would like to track the secure score over time, you can do that here, prioritize the recommendations, tracking regulatory compliance. We have some built-in workbooks for you that you can use for vulnerability assessment, the system updates, if you would like to track how you're doing with remediating those. And you can also take those workbook resources, duplicate them and customize them to your organization's needs. So let's have a quick look on how it all looks like in the portal. So if we were mentioning workbooks, let me zoom in a bit. So we do have this set here of existing workbooks. You can also create your own. It integrates to many data sources that you can leverage. So here, for example, we can track our secure score over time, see how we were doing. You can also view multiple workspaces here and track your score for all of those. We can see how are we doing in terms of the different controls. So we group the recommendations into controls to help you, for example, track how did you enable multi-factor authentication across the organization, and track them in easier, larger logical groups. So here we can, for example, view the recommendations that we have the most unhealthy resources, and we can prioritize remediating those first. So the place that we can view all of our recommendations is here, the recommendations view. This is all the recommendations that are mapped to the secure score. You can easily see them here. From Azure, AWS, GCP, they're all here together. You can also, for example, track by cloud if you would like to see how you're doing in each environment. If we're looking at the inventory view, here we'll be able to see those resources, analyze them, see if we've enabled all the Defender plans on those, if we've installed agents on them. We can download CSV reports for our analytics here, and we can also further explore the query in Azure Resource Graph. It will just open here by default, the very nice query our engineers created, and you can further customize it to your needs. You can keep tracking this, and etc. Security, regulatory compliance. So here is where you'll be able to track all your compliance benchmarks in one place. So whether it's Azure, any other cloud, you can view those recommendations mapped to the specific controls. And this data, as any other data type, can be continuously exported from Security Center. So if you would like to track over time, for example, you can set export either for the changes as they occur, so streaming of events. You can also set export for snapshots of the data. So for example, if you'd like to snapshot all of your recommendations every week, you can do that with a continuous export that is available here through environment settings. So for example, we can navigate to continuous export and set here export of any data type we're interested in streaming or snapshots to the target of our choice. We support an event hub, which you can link to Sentinel or any other third-party SIEM, or to a log analytics workspace, which we typically use for overtime reporting and analytics. And save this configuration and enjoy the data. So last thing I wanted to quickly show is our new connector for AWS. So through environment settings, you'll be able to quickly onboard single accounts or management accounts from AWS. Single account, you onboard one account. Management account, you onboard with auto provisioning all of the accounts under the management account. We support CSPM, Defender for servers, and Defender for containers for AWS. And those onboarded accounts, you'll be able to manage, view and manage here. Once you onboard them, our discovery process will start running. It is fully agentless. We don't deploy anything for CSPM on the other cloud. We require read-only access to the other cloud, and we have built-in Security Center a set of 160 recommendations as of now that are mapped to the CIS, PCI, and AWS foundational best practices controls. And you'll be able to view the assessments that are running, manage them. You can also customize the assessments, create custom standards, and include in them any custom recommendations that you'd like. And with that, I'm giving it back to you, Shai.
Thank you. It was amazing. You want to present again? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, so just covered the CSPM and mentioned, let's talk about the other section, the CWP, or how it's named, the Cloud Workload Protection. So in the next stage, I will gonna cover a little bit from the sides of CWP, which stands for Cloud Workload Protection. And we will cover a little bit about the trend landscape. So which oh, I see you already have that. Amazing. What CWPP solution are you currently using? So I see not currently using Microsoft Defender for Cloud. Amazing. Let's wait a little bit, see the answers. Okay, so it's nice to see that most of you already use the Microsoft Defender for Cloud and see the answers are coming out. And with that said, let's go for the section of Microsoft Defender for Cloud Workload Protection. So talking about the trend landscape, the threat landscape is becoming more complex when you're increasing the sophistications of attacks. And we already mentioned a lot of this and all covered this with the CSPM regarding some recommendation. But when it will comes to serious threats that you want to avoid regarding with detection, and when you collected and analyzed it in silos. So actually we have a couple of security teams in most of organizations. They are suffering sometimes from alert fatigue. So in the future pressure of resources that are fed from worldwide shortage and scaled security priorities, we need an intelligent or mentioned automations also integrated security to close the gap. And providing visibility for that with proactive responsive across the organizations, again, will be our unique approach also to empower security professionals. We both SIEM, security incidents, event monitoring, and extend our XDR, which stands for detection and response capability tools, from a single vendor to emphasize the integrations that Defender can be in the both place. What you've seen here in this slide is actually the coverage that we have with the Wall Better Together story, that you can connect your solution, your Microsoft Defender for Cloud solution, covering all your resources whenever they are, if they are machines, containers, etc., SQLs, native SaaS, app service, an example, and a lot of those. And then in the other side, you see the whole XDR solution from stemming from the detection to the response, and then you all the wall better together, and then you connect it and just have all the output regarding that, all the telemetry, all the events and the incidents that will populate it out to your SIEM SOC. It can be Azure Sentinel, Microsoft Sentinel with the new name, and many customers that also have the 365 family, and they are doing data spanning, device application infrastructure, it doesn't matter. And like all better solution story, you have it in a one place. So talking about that, and just want to mention the wall coverage here, Microsoft Defender can give you the possibilities also to protect machines or resources, doesn't matter if they are on Azure, and also for hybrid environment, because we want you to ensure that your cloud infrastructure and resources are truly protected from common threats, such as already mentioned by me earlier today, brute forcing, attacking storage example, SQL injection, or even mitigating some threats that we have also for IoT and etc. With that said, just want to make mention, and mention it again, that Microsoft Defender also delivers protection for resources directly with the Azure Experience Protection. And for multi-cloud and on-premises and multi-cloud virtual machine and SQL database, we are leveraging the using of Azure Arc. So customers are already using that, and already have some Microsoft Defender capabilities, and we just expanding that and want to tell you about it. So let's jump to the next slide. Yeah, and now what you can see the whole perspective from the coverage. So what you see here in this deck, that this is the whole coverage that we are trying to demonstrate to you. The Microsoft Defender offering is actually include two types of security to protect cloud workload. The first will be the cloud depth threat protection for the most popular Azure workload. You can see in the top, like VMs, like web applications, probably will be web apps, something like that. Containers, which can be part of any container registry, an example, or even on clusters, Kubernetes, etc. And also for storage account. And the second offer could be mean like the offer cloud that we have with the native threat detection for every workload in Azure, which means that we use actually the Azure service layer for the network stuff, for the Azure network, for the DNS example, and also for the Azure Resource Manager, or even the Key Vault that you see. All of them can be a potential, right, to potential area that you can have areas of threats and things like that. And for example, if we talked a little bit with Microsoft Defender for Server, an example, we protect even our Windows and Linux machine from threats. And we can retrieve alerts. I will show you in the demo in a little bit later, that we can receive alert on malicious suspicious activity. And we have a great features there, like the just-in-time, the JIT, if you are aware or familiar with, which can be controlled. The commonly attacked management ports, because sometimes when you build machine, the default state that you can probably by mistake or even not by mistake sometimes, and leave the management ports open. If we talked about Windows, it can be the RTP the 3389, or even on the Linux machine, the SSH, the management, the 22 ports, and the JIT can actually help you to achieve the solution for that. You actually can restrict the time and give access which will based on a period of time, and you can acknowledge this from the high level priority of the role-based in the organization. And also, we can block malware with adaptive application control. You can actually build the knowledge of well-known applications in your organization, like a whitelist. If someone of you known from the all these days, we used AppLocker, things like that, and we have to use PATH and all wildcards exemption to learn about our reputation applications that we are running. And also, you can leverage the built-in vulnerability assessment. We have today, we also announced in Ignite the integration that we have with our product, with the Microsoft Defender for Endpoint solution, and you have the threat vulnerability management inside. And also coverage for the Kubernetes stuff and for container registry. So if you are leveraging and the customer is leveraging these solutions, you want to protect them also from the perspective of the clusters, the nodes, the pods. Everywhere can be potential risk, and we have the full coverage for there, and also for the standoffs, the SQL. With that said, just to mention, we are covering also the perspective of storaging, key vault, and network, which means, and again, just an example, we have a rich detection suite that's coming and covering the threat intelligence, the Microsoft threat intelligence insights, and give you a best threat detection methods when you have areas that will suffer in this area. And also for resource manager, automatically you get, when you enable the fully monitors for all resource managers, management operations, that will be in your organization, and we will detect suspicious activities and send you alert of that. If you're leveraging ARM, an example, and you do deployment by infra as code, etc. And with that said, we will go also for DNS, and we'll search inside in the backend and send you alerts for specific anomalies and monitors DNS queries that will come and will be suspicious, and also have these possibilities to help you and potentially detect unusual and harmful attempts also for Azure Key Vault. And maybe I can go to and present some demo. I will try to take controller. I hope it's worked now. And let me and acknowledge me when you can see my screen.
We can.
Awesome. So already present you the side of the CSPM, the Cloud Security Posture Management. Let's first of all describe how we enabled the CWP, the Cloud Workload Protection. So if I go to Microsoft Defender for Cloud, and you search it, doesn't matter if you go from the Microsoft Azure or if you go to Home and go to Microsoft, probably already I see the answers that you are well aware of that, but just want to show you how I done this. So I go to the section of the management environment settings here, and then when I type it, you can see what already demonstrated. And then you see the whole hierarchy. Just a little bit explanation on the top of that. What you can see here is the differentiate between your infrastructure against the Azure. You can see the management group, top tenantry view here, and then I have my subscription. The enable can be by subscription. So if I go, just an example, to these subscriptions, and then I click on the Defender plans, you can see that I can enable the whole plan that I mentioned you earlier regarding the enhanced security features of Microsoft Defender for Cloud. So you can see here an example, the whole plans that I can achieve on my environment. And you can see the number of resources of each one of them. So whenever I trigger this and enable, and this is, of course, my first recommendation you to all to do it today after our session, if you are not already there, is to go and try to see where you are currently now. If you go to this section after you enable this, to the workload protection section, and just click on that, and let me just go to an environment that I have a little bit of already a couple of resources there. You can see the whole view from the Defender of Cloud coverage. And you can see the divided by section, but each one of the resources that you have on your Azure environment, the server stuff, the app service, which will, of course, can leverage your applications on the web that you expose, the containers, the Key Vault, etc. What you see down there, you can see the wall security alerts that is currently have in your environment. And if you are leveraging the wall integration, if I go specific alert as an example, and you can see the threat landscape actually occurred. So I have an example, a malicious credential theft tool execution detected. And what you can see here that we also leveraging the MITRE attack tactics, which is fundamental because sometimes you as a security analyst of if you mitigate the risk, you want to know which potential tactics or initials already action and perform, and this integration makes us also to order sometimes if we want to investigate and ask myself when I can start my investigation. If I go to this alert as an example, I can get the full description of that and what is the severity. And of course, adding the full investigation pane can give you a full deeply details against the suspicious activity and also the related entities that is inside and correlated to this incident. And with that said, or mentioned earlier today, the automation part. So if you want things to be drive automatically when things will gonna happen, sometimes you are having some automated process, you can leverage the take action, and the take action phase could be a trigger automating response. And the automating response can be based on logic app, for an example. And the other things that I want to mention is the section down here. We have a fully advanced protection features that can help you achieve couple of variety that I mentioned earlier. Just for an example, we have the vulnerability assessment capabilities. So if I want to know, just for an example, and give myself a fully brief about where I'm standing from the part to see which coverage I have currently against my VMs, for example, and I go, for example, to this workstation, and I'm not sure that is actually aligned or fit also to the stage that I want, I can have the vulnerability and to see which one of the machines already needs findings to be resolved. So this is another example. I will not go deep dive for each one of the telemetry, but just want to show you the example of that. With that said, you can see also the just-in-time. You can see that I have machines that are not just-in-time protected, which means currently, probably, a couple of them already exposed and not configured. So probably there will be severity that one of them may be exposed to the internet right now. You can see I don't have any NSG, which stands for Network Security Gateway, or even firewall that protecting my machine. And I even don't know that because I have a lot of resources in the cloud now. And this is what Microsoft Defender for Cloud tell me. I need to block this. So even I will implement just in time or block it either way, this is something I must know because sometimes the breach can happen even we don't know about it, right? So this is the other stuff. And regarding the adaptive application control, you can see that I can leverage a couple of groups and build some custom groups. I will not do the full process and just make the location and OS type and build environment type and just sorry, yeah, I mistyped the string, but doesn't matter for now. I can demonstrate it later because I don't have any groups in. But then we can leverage and analyze data application, define machines, for instance, running applications that our solution can be resolved. And you can see also the scanning of container image registry. So if we have organizations that are leveraging the container image registry solutions, you can see that I can get variety of security check, even on Linux machines, that telling me that my GNU Bash privilege escalation vulnerability is now exposed to couple of my images, because someone probably can push or create any YAML or container and push it to my repo, and I don't even know which the repo is coming to, right? It can be something that is used from Docker Hub, I don't know, for exemption. So this is also covered from the perspective of this solution. And also for the SQL vulnerability management, we have fully integrated with that you can leverage also on the SQL. Doesn't matter if they are covered by example, Azure Arc, as we mentioned earlier, or they are coming from the on-prem, or even they are from Azure. And when you look a little bit from the inventory section, just want to close the gap here. And if I see here, you can see the stage of the Defender for Cloud implementation stage. You have the possibility to see if you are covered with the agent, and also the section of recommendation, which I mentioned earlier. You can see the variety of things here, which make us now just know better about our product and about our solution. And I think from the perspective of coverage, and I think that will be all right now. So, or you can share the next slide from your side, and you can summarize on me. And then we can leave some couple of minutes to question and answers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can you see my
Yeah,
screen?
I can see the demo part right now.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah. Awesome. So yeah,
perfect.
yeah. Let's go to the next slide, because I think we have. Yeah. Also, this is the Q&A. So if you have any Q&A, I see already a couple of you already popped up in the message chat, right? So just want to, if you want to give a last recall, so please, if you are not already enabled Microsoft Defender solution, Microsoft Defender for Cloud solution on your environment, please do this. And of course, don't hesitate if you have any questions and remarks regarding implementation and anything like that. We are always be here to help you. We want you to be secure. Your security is our top priority. So yeah, or please feel free if you want to also add on mine.
All right, think you're on point.
Yeah.
We'll share our emails as well in the chat window. So
Yeah.
if you'd like to reach out, then we'd be more than happy to have a chat, hear what your needs are, and see how we can meet them.
Oh, I see a couple of questions. I don't understand how much is it or what subscription, but you can enable Microsoft Defender for Cloud based on subscription. I already demonstrate. You can go via environment settings. You can highlight your subscription. You can do this via the portal, or even you can use REST API, for example, and CLI. There's a couple of possibilities if you want to build an automation process and just enable. We have the possibilities also to do it not from the UI perspective if you want to build it as an automation solution. So you are allowed to REST API, Azure CLI, PowerShell, whatever you like. We have a couple of customers that already done this. Will application control block mode will be introduced in the new feature? We can check it inside. Probably the best way, if you want to start with application control, it will be audit. This is how we used to implement this stuff in a variety of customers. The reason of that, because there sometimes can be complicated from the reputation stuff. Because if this is something that you know based on Ash or Exe's known file, it can be known to all. But if it's something that you are developing inside your organization, you probably want to build a process and to make it know. So we can check it inside, and you can contact us if you have, I don't know, or you are aware of any new
I think also the best way to be informed on our future plans is to join our private preview program where we share news under NDA. You'll be able to also join any new features, try them out, give your feedback, and also give your thoughts on our upcoming roadmap, which we will greatly appreciate if you'd like to do that.
I see another question. Does Defender for Cloud replaces vulnerability scans, or are they still recommended? No, you actually, when you enable Microsoft Defender for Cloud, you can choose today from two of options that for vulnerabilities. You can use the Qualys or either use our Microsoft Defender for Endpoint for TVM. They both give you the solution for vulnerability assessment. Are there update frequency document? Or already mentioned, the best way is to do via community and the official docs that we have on our product, Microsoft Defender for Cloud. I think that's all. Or I don't see any other questions here. Oh, how can Defender for Cloud can help in DevSecOps? Okay, so I will try to summarize it a little bit. So from the DevSecOps perspective, of course, besides of the coverage, you can build the whole process based on also automation. So probably DevSecOps want to use and build it into the CI/CD integration. So the continuous integration, continuous delivery process, you can do that and leverage, but it's not today covered in any side of solution, Azure DevOps or things like that. So I don't actually know it's the relevancy to coverage from the process perspective or the can this integrated with Oracle Cloud? Maybe this is for you.
So today we support AWS and GCP. And for additional updates, join our private preview community.
I will take the last one. Does JIT works with Bastion? No, actually, the Bastion is a different solution than JIT. Sometimes, yes, a lot of customers they're confusing. The Bastion is giving you actually the possibility of using HTTPS management remote solution. So they actually you leveraging the identity of your tenant and you use to connect your machine via browser. And the JIT is working differently. It's actually estimated your time based on your management port inside the machine. So you can use any RDP or any SSH remote connection solution, and then you can leverage the minimize and stamp the time to connect to your machine. So it's a different solution. So JIT will not, Will adaptive app control will be released for VMSS? This is a great question, but again, we can check it inside. Will secure scores be showing industry benchmark so we can scan, compare scores with those industry? Oh, similar. Okay, I got the question. So maybe.
I think anything related to the roadmap we can't really share in public webinars, unfortunately. Yeah, but we are constantly working on improving the secure score offering.
Yeah, that's a lot of great questions. So thank you so much. Oh, it was an honor for me to have a session with you. So really enjoyed it.
Right back at you. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you all for joining, and feel free to reach us, and don't forget, enable the solution.
Thank you, Shayanol, so much. This was a wonderful session. And additionally to what Shayanol said, if anyone wants to join our private community, I did put the link in the chat window, and there you'll be able to be visible to a lot more roadmap discussions and private previews and anything that is under NDA. So feel free to join our private community as well. Again, thank you everyone for this session. This was wonderful. If you have any questions, feel free to email us. And I will see you soon in about 15 minutes for our next session, which will cover Azure Network Security. I will add the link to the next session in the chat window. Again, Owen, Shai, thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.